The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the new channel. Our passion transforms a community that sees all things new. I'm Nato Agbayani, streaming from Cebu City.
Maayong gabi sa tanan.
All right. Good evening. You're watching Para sa Bayan Season 1, Episode 7. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Para sa Bayan.
Welcome back para sa bayan.
Good evening. Mayong gabi, bye.
Maayong gabi diha kanato, maayong gabi sa atong mga televiewers or viewers worldwide.
Tulong atong guest. We have 3 guests tonight, no? Of course, we have a young entrepreneur and youth advocate, Fam Gopez, and we will have later 2 councilors from New Lucena in Iloilo City. So, without any further ado, maybe we can welcome them. Let's welcome Fam Gopez.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening po
Good evening,
sa mga viewers. Yes, good evening to all the viewers around the world. Mayong gabi sa tanan. And good evening po sa buong Pilipinas at sa mga kabataang nanonood ngayong araw.
Maayong gabi ini mo pa, maayong gabi sa atong mga kabataan,
Alright.
kabataan.
Then we'll introduce, of course, our 2 other guests, Councilor Sainthia Sorrilla of New Lucena, the Municipality of New Lucena. Good evening, Councilor.
Hello, Sir Nato and Sir Edward. Good evening, everyone. Good evening sa lahat na nanonood ngayong gabi.
Thank you.
Maayong
Last
gabi.
Last but not the least, let's introduce Councilor Bryan Cerebo also of New Lucena. He's the SK Federation President, right? So, all right. Welcome. Good evening. Mayong gabi.
Sir Nato and Sir Edward, mayong gabi gid kaninyong tanan, and of course to those who are viewing your show. Thank you for the opportunity you have given us tonight.
Yeah. So, thank you. Welcome to the new channel with the hashtag Para sa Bayan with POLPhil. POLPhil is the Political Officers League of the Philippines. We're an aggregation of different political officers all over the Philippines. And kasama nato si Bay Edward, of course. Bay, mag-greet ka muna sa atong mga guest.
Mayong gabi sa atong mga guest karong mga batanon pulos ni sila, no? If I'm not mistaken, 2 of them are politicians and the other one is a businesswoman.
Yes, that's right. Actually, I think your common denominator ba is you are an alumni of the NYP, tama ba, Fam?
I think Brian and I are both alumni, right? And Councilor Sainthia is not yet, but hopefully he will join the next National Youth Parliament, Sir Nato.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the NYP, no. In fact, ang daming mga young people. I think we did one in Quezon City, yung Quezon QCYP, with sila Aliana and a lot of friends. Also
Yes.
Brian, yeah. So, and we're happy to have produced so many leaders who are ngayon, no, the draft sila ng mga laws on their own. But siguro I'd like to throw the first question, and then ano lang to, no, istoryahan ta na, I mean, kwentuhan lang, no. But of course, this coming election, siguro lagyan lang natin ng contextualization. This coming elections, more than 50% will be youth voters, no? And this is so crucial. This is so crucial. The 2022 elections is so crucial because it will determine the next 10, 20 years, no? Who will become president, who will be the elected officials in at the local level. Napaka critical, no? So what do you think about this? I mean, what do you think will be the role of the young people, knowing, of course, that decision making, no, on a local and a national level would determine yung future natin na hopefully post pandemic. What do you think? Anybody can answer.
I'll go first.
Sige.
Okay, sige, Consi.
Go
You go,
ahead.
Consi.
All right. I think, Sir Nato, young leaders nowadays are already stepping up their game, no, and making difference in the light of the pandemic. And this pandemic has changed the political landscape of the country. I think it separated the real leaders from those bosses. Real leaders who has proven themselves in this during this pandemic. Talagang nagsayang sila ng oras, nag they created ordinances, resolutions, and projects, especially during this pandemic. And doon natin makikita yung real leaders, yung hindi natulog, yung hindi nagtago during this pandemic, yung hindi natakot, no? And I think that the young leaders are really stood out. No? A lot of our politicians nowadays are young, very young. Just like me, I filed my candidacy at the age of 21. And nakita ko kasi yung opportunity to make a difference in our municipality. But during my first year, nagka-pandemya. So, kailangan natin na mag-innovate ng mga projects and programs na fitting din and very timely in this time of pandemic. So, yung mga youth leaders natin ngayon, they are craving for actions, bilis kilos actions. Nakikita natin yung mga tao na yung batayan nila is the programs ng mga politiko. And kailangan natin ng mga leaders na decisive. Walang politika-politika, basta para sa tao, walang personal interest. Yun yung hinahanap natin ngayong 2022 election, Sir Nato.
Thank you. Oh, who's next? Brian, ladies first.
Wow, very interesting yung naging answer ni Councilor Sainthia. Ako naman on my end, the role of the young people for the 2022 election is actually very crucial. Indeed, we were able to step up our game. We are already being heard by the government. Pero I believe the effort is not yet enough. I think we really have to organize ourselves. Although we occupy the biggest chunk of the voting population for 2022, we can be able to elect our own president kung magboto lang lahat ng mga kabataan. But ang concern natin ngayon is we are being governed by fake news, false news. And I think that's something that we have to look into para ang youth, the young people, ma-channel natin ang energy natin sa truthful, legitimate, and genuine election. So while we recognize the effort of the so many young people all over the country, our youth leaders who are doing voters registration campaign, who are doing voters registration recruitment of first-time voters, of the young people who will register first time to vote for 2022, I've seen so much effort. But I think there's a need for us to unify ourselves, in spreading truthful information for this coming 2022.
All right. Fam, how about
Yeah.
you?
Very interesting yung sinabi ni Consi Brian, no, regarding about spreading fake news. Especially nowadays that Facebook and social media is a very important factor right now, no. So mapapansin natin that it can be easy to spread fake news anytime, anywhere, madali lang, isang click lang. But you know what's the biggest role of the youth is for us to do fact check before clicking. Napaka-importante na before we click or share anything, we do fact check first because hindi lang naman yung principal ng isang post ang nasisira. Sometimes even your relationship to other people ay nasisira dahil sa pagkalat ng fake news. And also, tama si Consi Brian, no, we recognize na napakaraming kabataan so far ang nakiisa for voters registration and even yung extension ng voters registration, maraming kabataan yung humingi ng more time pa, 'di ba? Dahil nagkaroon ng, dahil pandemic nga at napakahirap pumila and sometimes may cut off and it's really nice that the commission on election are na-extend yung voters registration. But aside for those, ano nga ba yung biggest role ng kabataan right now? For me, the biggest role of the youth right now is for us to choose a better leader. A leader that stand out during pandemic. It's really good. We should check not only their charisma but also their track records, and also we should promote good campaign. I mean, pas na tayo sa natural na eleksyon, nasira dito, mudsliding. Let's start. I mean, sa ating mga kabataan, let's start doing positive campaign. And we respect everyone. We should respect whoever we wants to vote. But let's stop doing fake news, and of course, let's do fact check. And wag nating kalimutan na ang pagboto sa Mayo 2022 ay hindi lang para sa sarili natin, kundi para sa bayan at para sa susunod na henerasyon. So we should do it right. And yun yung pinaka nakikita ko na biggest role, hindi lang ng kabataan, kundi ng lahat ng sektor ng bayan natin. Sir Nato.
Thank you, thank you. Bye, Edward.
Agresibo, no? Mga millennials to. Tapos yung tanong ko lang, lahat ba yung dahil may nandiyan pa kayo sa idealism, 'di ba? Dahil mga bata pa kayo. Yung outlook niyo sa Philippine politics and election, ano sa tingin niyo ang sa una at saka ngayon pariho pa ba dahil dalawa dito ay elected public official na, isa dito ay businesswoman. So ano yung outlook niyo sa kabuuan sa eleksyon? May nagbago ba o pariho pa rin? Kahit sino yung sumagot.
For me, Sir Edward, siguro I'll go first, no? As a young entrepreneur, what I can see right now is, yes, there are changes. I mean, meron namang pagbabago, Sir Edward, eh. Hindi lang talaga siya hindi lang siya sobrang laki o sobrang bilis. Pero I can see that there are changes. There are young politicians right now na, example, let's say, let's give an example, Vico Soto. I mean, others who broke that political dynasty, and they are very young, di ba? Manila was been governed by different political dynasty, but now who govern it? A basurero. So I think there is the changes, but for us to go further for a better nation, we need more. We need more of the changes na nauumpisahan na so far.
Yeah, on my end naman po, Sir Edward, correct si Fam Ang sabi niya na this time around, we have young people being elected as councilors, as mayors, or even congressmen. And that's a very good indication that the young people is really something now when it comes to Philippine politics. Second, because I represent the Sangguniang Kabataan, this is my second term as SK Federation President. and ex-official councilor of my municipality, the Municipality of New Lucena, I can compare really the difference. The SK reform law has been instrumental in creating significant reforms in the sangguniang kabataan, from the autonomy of funds, from capacity building, from the age requirement for our SK officials. It and the first ever anti-political dynasty provision in the country ever enacted, no, is in the sangguniang kabataan reform law. These are indications that slowly, at least, no, somehow there's a change already in our political landscape or in our political platform. Thirdly, we live now in a generation or in a time wherein the young people are really opinionated. The young people really have something to say. The young people really take a stand on issues. And we've seen it. We've seen it over the radio. We've seen it in the National Youth Parliament, how vocal the young people are and how passionate they are to lobby laws. So I've seen that those are the great things happening right now. It may not be still the political landscape we wish or we aspire, but we're getting there. I believe that time will come that dynasty will be over in the country and the young people will take the lead in our government.
Yeah.
Si
Ako
Cynthia?
naman, Sir Edward, nakikita natin na mas nag-engage talaga yung kabataan ngayon, especially with current issues, mga events natin na experience ngayon. And that's a good thing, no? Na nakikita natin that they are involved, the youth are involved, the Filipinos are involved this 2022 election. And hindi lang tayo nakikibasa, hindi lang tayo nakikinig sa mga balita, but we are giving our opinions. Yung young leaders natin ngayon are more idealistic and they are seeking for leaders na hindi trapo, that are setting aside politics and focusing on the needs of the people.
Sa follow-up question na to.
Sure, sure.
Yung this coming 22 election is limited face-to-face yung campaign. So yung social media is very crucial, no? Kailangan ba sa isang kandidato sa one of the strategy yung TikTok at saka pagba-vlogging?
I think that's a big factor, Sir Edward, no? Especially in my campaign, na may limitations tayo with the gathering, no? Limited tayo with social distancing. So, minimake use talaga namin yung social media, especially the TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and any online site na pwede nating ma-reach out yung mga kabataan, pwede nating ma-reach out yung different sectors of our community.
Right.
Tama si si Cynthia, no, Sir Edward, for answer nato, no. For me, very crucial din talaga yung Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and every social media platform that you can use, even Twitter. Kasi it's a way for you to reach other people without going face to face, 'di ba? Pero for me, siguro aside for us using it as a campaign tool, we should also use it in right way. Ano ba yung reason bakit merong social media? Social media is for us to connect to each other and for us to inform other right things, yung totoo. So we have to limit on spreading fake news through social media kasi maraming naapektuhan personal, even campaigns and families. And it's very crucial that we use social media in positive campaigning, hindi to mudsliding. Yun lang yung sa akin, Sir Edward.
I couldn't agree more po with the statement of Councilor Sainthia and Fam. I agree that, but I think ang sa feeling ko lang, the young people, it's not a problem for us how to adjust with the new trend of campaigning, especially with the limited chance of having caucus rallies in the barangay, which we usually do in the past pre-COVID pandemic. So I think the older politicians would have really a problem. So they have to adjust for them to be able to reach as much voters as they can with the different social media platform, be it Facebook, Twitter, or even TikTok you mentioned po. No? As long as I'm okay with that, that's my personal opinion, my personal stand, provided that we ensure that it will be merit-based. It will be about qualification of candidates. It will be about track record of candidates. And it should be about truthful, relevant information and not false, erroneous, and fake news po. So I'm totally okay with the new adjustment brought by COVID pandemic.
Okay, thank you. Before we go, we move forward. We'd like to acknowledge the the comments from the public. Ang daming fans ni Fam. So we'd like to thank Ernesto Gabriel Jr. Hi, Ate Fam. So ang dami mong fans And then Marvin Gopez. Hi Fam, congrats. And then ako si Ilyoy from watching from Dubai. And then Matt, who's this? Matt Palentinos, mabuhay ang kabataang lagit-lagi, hashtag para sa bayan. And then si Francesca C. Gopez, heart. Double heart siya. So anyway, of course, ako si Ilyoy, farm supporter from Dubai. Ang grabe, ano? So anyway, it's a good thing, no? Ito mga, like what we're doing now, because of the pandemic, like the POLPhil, Political Officers League, which is going to have its third National Assembly at Manila Hotel on December 3, will be gathering again. No, like you, we were former young people and former youth organizers. In my case, I was a student leader in UST, and then I became a volunteer for the first Aquino administration, and then we defunct the KD and we formed the SK. Then after that, we were with the team that formed the National Movement of Young Legislators and a lot of other youth movements in the Philippines. And to me, the idealism, I suppose, has not left us. No? Even 3 decades hence, ganun pa rin. So we're still helping the young people participate or create better participation. But you see, during the pandemic, a lot of our young people were marginalized in terms of studying. No? Maraming dumami yung ranks ng out-of-school youth, and a lot of schools, private schools closed, and a lot of the public school system had very napakalalim ng difficulty. No? Although DepEd was doing its very best, and even CHED was doing its very best, even TESDA, to really tumulong dun sa pagpatuloy ng human capital development sa Pilipinas. No? Pero the challenges were extraordinary. So maybe later we will ask you about that question. Kasi ang role ng youth, if they're 50%, alam mo, prior to the pandemic, by Edward, no? Si Dr. Bernie Villegas was saying that, and even the HSBC was saying that the Philippines will be the 16th largest economy in 2050. Ito yung sabi ng HSBC prior to the pandemic. And we were on the right track. We have a very young population. And yet, the pandemic came. So napakasakit, no? But later, I'd like to ask everyone to discuss a little more of that. What do you think is the role of the youth? Not just in the elections, but post-elections. And I don't know how long this pandemic will last, no? Pero post-pandemic. So before we go into a break, siguro I'll think about that, and then direct, we will go into a short break, and then we will come back with our guests. By Edward, balik tayo, no? Unya?
Balik tayo, unya.
All right. Welcome back. You're still
Wel-
watching Para sa Bayan.
Welcome back, Natu. You're watching Para sa Bayan.
Okay, so wag po nating kalimutan panoorin ang ibang shows ng The New Channel. Of course, you have the Town Hall, Money and More, TNC Marketplace, Mental Shift, COVID Stories, HR Hotline, Realty Realities, YOLO, Chill and Charity Fridays, One Day, Win Within, um, Bruce and Beyond, U-Turn, Women at Work, Market Leader, Danny, The Talk, Puppet Stories, Awesome Day, Cybernext, Well Home, Healthline, After Shift, Couple Goals, Negosyo Home, The Family Business with Nato Agbayani, Usapang Beauty, Tech You, The Fourth Project, Foreign Affairs, The Shift, TNC Arena, TNC Express, FH Moms, The Frontliners, The Presscon, Networking Live, GFox, Fireside Talk, and of course, ang Para sa Bayan with POLPhil. Welcome back. Oh, absent si Girly.
Absent talaga. 30
Oo
minutes
nga
na,
eh.
wala pa.
Magkakalapit lang tayo. Akala ko sasabay siya eh. Siya pa naman yung youth leader talaga ha.
Yeah.
So anyway, we welcome back our guest, Fam Gopez, Councilor Bryan,
Bryan
and then
Cerebo
Councilor
Sainthia Sorrilla.
Sainthia. Yan. Okay. Alright. Pet friendly dyan ah. Andiyan si Garfield ah. So welcome back. Ayan. Punta tayo sa ano. Bye Edward, ikaw muna. Ako later na ako sa human
Ah,
capital.
yung mga guests natin ay punong-puno pa sa idealism. At
Yes.
saka masasabi nating mga intellectuals, paano natin matulungan yung ibang kabataan na mukhang parang blinded dahil sa mga fake news? Paano natin sila matulungan? Dahil mas marami yun kaysa dahil yung ginawa ng survey ng Ateneo, lumalabas na maraming naniwala sa fake news. Lalo na yung mga kabataan na kulang no sa edukasyon. Paano nyo sila matulungan?
Yeah, I think po, Sir Edward, no, na-mention ko earlier, that was my opening statement that because of the development of the different social media platforms, it becomes easier to spread false, fake, unverified, and erroneous news. In fact, in our municipality, the Municipality of New Lucena, we were able to legislate an ordinance. We call it Anti-Chismis Ordinance. So if you are being complained of that you are chismosa in your barangay, you get to do community service or community outreach in the barangay as part of our penalty or punishment for that offense. That includes also the social media platform of spreading fake news. I think number one, there's a need for leaders really who will advocate on spreading truthful information. I think there should be this group of young people that will really focus on pushing forward for this kind of advocacy. Kasi I think it's becoming now a different segment in our society, a different concern, a totally new concern. Hindi na siya, yeah, hindi na siya katulad ng no, I was, yeah, sorry.
So in
Can you hear
short
me po?
yung
Sorry, can you hear me po?
Yes.
yung
Okay, sorry.
Okay, okay.
I thought I was out of the video.
so
Anyway,
so yung yung mga marites hindi pwede sa bayan ninyo.
hindi pwede. We legislate that ordinance. I authored that and it was co-authored by Councilor Sainthia, yung anti-chismis ordinance. That's the first ever in the province and city of Iloilo. Kasi nung nag-COVID, very prevalent ang spreading of fake and false erroneous news. And even before COVID pandemic po, that is the reason why families break apart. That's the reason why neighbors quarrel all of the time because of fake news. So yun nga, I was referring to, connect ko lang po, that there's a need for an advocacy group really focusing specifically on advocating the spread of, or going against the spread of fake, false, erroneous news. Kaya sabi ko, it's a totally different advocacy. It's not Soji Bill. It's not rehabilitation in Marawi or other um, advocacies or causes. It's totally different. Number two, by being uh, meticulous in spreading or sharing these kind of posts. So there's a need really to fact check, tama si Fam earlier. There's a need for us to verify the information or the source of information. Right now, it's easy to come up with a Facebook account, pretend that it's a legitimate source, and then share it. So it's very important that the youth becomes meticulous in sharing, kasi it does more harm compared than good, no, in our country, the community in general. And lastly, if the message or the post is advocating for hate, violence, and ruining the reputation of a private individual, wag nang i-share. I mean, we stop there, or else we become already an instrument of that fake news po. So those are the things that I can see na can be able to help the young people in advocating this concern po.
May question pa ako, yung if I am the candidate no national position, what should a candidate focus no for or a program para sa mga kabataan? What do you think yung pinaka the biggest program na pwedeng para maka-attract sa mga kabataan?
Okay po. In fact, i-share ko lang ha. Now we were able to do Layag, a National Youth Convention, wherein we lobbied platforms, causes, and agenda to a certain presidential candidate. If I name him, Mayor Isko, we were able to lobby to him because we were able to see na he is grounded on causes. His election campaign is based on platform. Kaya sabi namin ni Fam and ni Councilor Sainthia, we see potential in this candidate. So we turned over to him our youth agenda, in which we are glad naman na he was able to accept it and we were able to get his thumbs up na he will advocate and fight for these causes. To name a few, yung SK reform law, the things that we need to amend in the SK reform law. Kasi if we do not correct this, sangguniang kabataan, we become breeding grounds of corrupt leaders in the future. So how can we be able to dream for a better government if ang mismong institusyon that is supposed to hone the next leaders of our country is already corrupted by the system, no? Ang mga traditional system natin. Another advocacy is of course yung shift to face-to-face classes, and how are we making sure that safe to go back to school ang mga students natin and ang mga teachers natin. Of course, on the health side, we were able to cite it in our youth agenda submitted to Yorme, to Mayor Isko, the mental health. Kasi the COVID has really affected, created trauma, and created fear and panic to the young people. So dapat we need also to give focus to the concern on mental health. We were able also to recognize po in our youth agenda yung concern of the agricultural sector, that the young people are no longer interested to go to farming, maybe because they think that farming is not in, it's not trend nowadays. So in our youth agenda, we lobbied there that there should be full scholarship with cash incentives for the young people who wish to enter agriculture-related courses. So far, those are the things, no, that we have included in the youth agenda.
Magandang agenda 'yun, no, yung sa youth agenda na parang advocacy na rin, no, sa kabataan.
Correct. Before we go on, meron ulit tayong mga comments, no? Ako si Ilyoy, Marites should really be stopped. Ayan. And then, eto, may secret dito. RM Bonifacio, high IT case. Yan, ha. Sige. Mamaya may photo ops tayo after this. Ako naman siguro gusto kong balikan yung human capital aspect. Kasi very strategic yung 2022 elections, no? I can compare this to like the 86 elections. Sorry, buhay na ako noon eh. Parang it was a crossroads between from a dictatorship to a shift to a democratic government. And yet, yung democratic government na yan, marami ring naging problema in the course of the freedoms, the democratic space. Marami ring naging problems which we are hina-harvest natin ngayon yung mga problemang yon. Now with the pandemic palalo, no. So ngayon, we are shifting. We are shifting to a new government in 2022. I think critical yung ano yung tingin nyo na kanina diniscuss yung programs, one program that you think will really change the game for the entire country, and not just for the young people, no, but for the entire boat, no, yung isang bangka na tinatawag nating MV Pilipinas. What game changer na program would it be? Contextualize natin sa sa pandemic. We are still at the pandemic. Yeah. Sige, anybody can answer. Sorry parang Miss
You're
Universe.
referring po, I'm sorry. You're referring po, Sir Nato, to a pandemic setup or changing the political landscape in general, which will become the game changer for the political landscape po?
I think the objective, personal ko lang na opinion, no. I think the objective should be from where we are now to a modern nation, when a modern tiger economy, parang ganon a first world country, if you would call it that, or tawag natin global north country, 'di ba?
What I think, sorry fam, what I think po, Sir Nato, is the game changer really is, the government. I always believe po that the government, we rises together or we sink together with our government. So it's very important that we have quality leaders who will genuinely govern our country. And one thing that I can see really is to put finally a definition on political dynasty, and to prohibit political dynasties in our political arena, to give opportunity, most especially to the young people who are qualified, young people who are equipped, who beams with excellence to enter government service po. And I think that will really encourage them to step up even more and join government. Kasi lahat ng mga programs, projects, initiatives, and the direction of the country depends on who are the leaders of this country, both in the executive and the legislative. So for me, that's the real game changer po in our political landscape, especially in the modern times.
I totally agree with you, Brian. No, kanina nag-uusap kami ni Edward, we were at Radisson, and we were talking about the young people. Globally, mga young people na You talk about the Prime Minister of Canada, yung legislator from New York. The leaders are young and very talented, di ba? Bakit, saan ba yung mga leaders na yan? Andyan lang, like people like you, di ba? What do you think, Consi, Sainthia, and Fam? What do you think? Ano ba yung game changer?
I couldn't agree more. Yes, I couldn't agree more with Councilor Bryan Cerebo. No? Kasi when it comes to political dynasty, we are not giving everyone an opportunity to serve. Just like me, I didn't come from a political family. No, my mother is not a politician. My father is not a politician too. So, kailangan ng bansa natin ng qualified leaders, open for everyone, no? Na gustong magserbisyo sa mga tao from the local up to the nationals. And I think that it would be great that we have an inclusive governance. We include all sectors of the country, from the LGBT, from the youth sector, from our senior citizen. Kailangan sila natin bigyan ng boses. We include them in our programs and projects, especially in the national level. And agree ako doon that we give up more opportunities for those who are qualified this 2022.
All right. Pam?
Siguro, Sir Nato, no, Brian and Sandy already discussed about the political side. For me, I should discuss siguro din the business side, no, Sir Nato and Sir Edward. Kasi let's try to look into history, no. For example, before, Sweden is not a first world country, no? Sobrang naghihirap sila. And that's the reason why they discover potato nga, kasi they don't have enough food. And then World War happened, and then natapos yung World War, sira yung buong Europe, pero yung Sweden nasa gitna siya, nag-neutral kasi siya. So afterwards, yung Sweden yung naging producer ng steel and wood, which is really needed for an economy to rise again, di ba? For infrastructure, etc. So let's take it for that as an example, no, Sir Nato. Right now, sa pandemic, ang naging problema, especially ako kami na mga business owner, yung mga small and medium enterprises, is hindi kami equipped hindi kami naging handa to pandemic situation, right? So, yun yung reason bakit madaming nagsaradong restaurants, maraming nagsaradong mga shops, etc. Kasi hindi tayo handa into that kind of situation. Maybe because wala pang legislation, or I'm not sure regarding that. Pero one more thing is, Sir Nato, we should need to invest more to small and medium enterprises, no, katulad namin. Kasi aside from us bringing some parts of the GDP ng bansa natin, is kami din yung I like what Mayor Isko did in Manila up until now, pa rin sila amnesty pa din sila sa tax kung hindi ako nagkakamali. It's of him putting up yung income ng government para at least makabawi-bawi yung mga negosyante, yung mga maliliit na negosyante, para umikot yung pera, makabawi sila, and then yung mga merong trabaho, kasi yung small medium enterprises, meron din yung mga employees Yung mga employees nila makakasweldo, iikot yung pera, di ba, Sir Nato? So, slowly, makaka-recover yung economy natin. Given this situation, meron namang mga malalaking kumpanya, pero how about the small medium enterprises? Una, sana meron ding ayuda for us. Merong ayuda for the employees from DOLE. Pero for us, para makabangon, so far you have to do loans. Pero thankful na rin ako on my end is so far okay naman. Pero I can see to my other colleagues, so far marami sa kanila nagsarado na, Sir Nato. And I think crucial yung situation na yon sa mga business owners, lalo yung mga paumpisa pa. Kasi, Sir Nato, ako when I registered my company, it was February 2020, 1 month bago mag-pandemic. So makita mo yung yung challenges sa amin. And you know what, I have a friend, sabi niya, okay, mukhang matagal pa yung pandemic sa Pilipinas hanggang ngayon yan pa din yung usapan. So what he did, he went to Dubai and he invested in Dubai. Bakit? Kasi open economy in Dubai even pandemic. So nagkaroon siya ng much better marketplace. So ganyan yung nangyayari. Yung iba naman, yung mga nurses natin, lumilipat na rin sa ibang lugar kasi mas competitive dun I mean, mas kita, hindi naman natin sila masisisi kasi may pamilya silang binubuhay. So I think we should also focus on dun sa mga negosyante and mga professionals natin para hindi din sila umalis ng bansa, and so that we could be, we could have a tiger economy, not only in Asia but also in the whole world.
Thank you. Bye.
Affected by pandemic, how did you survive, no, or na yung business mo ngayon patuloy pa rin?
Nung first part ng pandemic, actually, Sir Edward, talagang sobrang hirap yung taon ng 2020, wala ka talagang income dyan For me, IT services, ito magpapagawa ngayon ng POS system or website, bagsak na nga yung negosyo nila Yung restaurant nga, walang pumupunta, bawal dine-in, sir So, syempre, bagsak kami niyan. This 2021, siguro nitong second quarter, and third quarter, medyo nakakakuha naman tayo ng kliyente. How did I survive? Siguro swerte lang ako, Sir Nato, kasi all around din ako. Ilan lang yung sinusweldohan ko. Pero I hindi ko ma-imagine paano yung may-ari ng restaurant na mayroong mga 20 employee, 'di ba? Hindi natin yun yung sobrang nakakalungkot. Kasi yung mga small and medium enterprises, sobrang nasaktan at nahirapan sila during pandemic. But for me, I can speak only on myself. So far, okay naman na, medyo nakakabawi-bawi na, and sana tuloy-tuloy and hopefully na maging okay yung situation natin. Pero so far, since may bagong variant, hindi ko lang alam, Sir Edward.
Yeah. Thank you. So, before hindi pa naman tayo mag-e-end, we'll be ending in a while. But siguro nagpapasalamat na rin kami sa inyo, no, this for coming, for joining us sa show dahil iba-ibang topics ang dinidiscuss namin. I think the other time diniscuss namin yung ARMM, the other time yung sustainable development, iba-iba eh. Tapos yung mga directions din ng POLPhil during the first episode. And then we also talked about yung digital governance and innovation. So one of our resource persons, dating City Councilor din ng Bacolod, si Attorney Josel, also discussed about digital governance and innovation. Ako kasi, I have a bias towards technology and how we can leapfrog through technology. I'm one of the mentors of the UST Innovation Center. So, kaya nung last time we had a forum, di ba? Para sabi ko yung digital governance, siguro maganda rin i-prioritize ng kabataan. Anyway, so before siguro we go, we'd like to siguro let's ask them for what do you think? Oo, ikaw
Sige, ikaw.
Hindi, siguro ang aking question, or maybe I will be asking everyone for a message sa ating young people, no. So right now yung young people constitute more than 50%, no, even sa electorate. So I'd like to ask you, ano yung panawagan nyo sa mga kabataan, no? It's their future. It's our collective future, and even kami, we have kids. Wala pa namang grad kids, no? Baka mang apostolic. Ayan, yan mga fur babies. Mga fur babies ni by Edward, no? So anyway, ano yung panawagan nyo sa mga kabataan na nanonood ngayon sa ating show na Para sa Bayan? Sige, go ahead, please.
Siguro I'll start, no, Sir Nato.
Sure.
For me, isa lang yung masasabi ko. Hindi na ako naniniwala na yung kabataan ang future ng bayan natin. Yung kabataan na yung ngayon. So we have to start on voting on sa tama this coming May 2020. Share ko lang din, mostly sa mga kabataan kasi nawawalan ng moral. I mean, like, when you don't have food on your table, it's either you dream more or you stop dreaming. Ako po, I'm from not rags to riches, soil. Soil talaga kasi hindi po kami mayaman. I didn't came from a rich family. Ako po ay scholar ng Bayan, scholar ng Bulacan-Bulacan. At ako po ay sobrang naghirap from what I am right now. Nag-aral ako mabuti. And you know what? Wag mawawalan ng pag-asa. That's the reason why Sir Nato and Sir Edward and to my and to Bryan and to Consi Sainthia. That's the reason why I start the project, Give a Smile project. Sa Bulacan, I adopted communities where, I try to give smile, not only for the youth, for the PWD, for solo parents, and for other sectors of the community. Pero may isang community talaga na lagi yan binabalik-balikan ko, ang Sitio Babangan. Kasi nandyan yung mga kabataan na usually mas mahirap abutin kasi coastal area sila. So what do? I bring them, school materials and sometimes food, and nagbibigay din tayo ng vitamins sa kanila. Why do I do that, Sir Edward and Sir Nato? Because sabi ni Sir Edward, no, we're idealistic. I'm so idealistic po, no? Kasi I believe that the youth is today. So if I can invest to the youth, kasi I've been there eh. Alam ko yung feeling na wala kang Crayola kahit gusto mo mag-aral. I've been there. So if I can invest to the youth and I can change a few lives, kahit ilan sila doon sa Sitio Babangat, I'll be happy. Kasi kahit sa maliit na paraan, nakatulong ako, and I did a change para sa future natin, sa future ng Philippines. And yun, wag mawawala ng pag-asa, and vote right, vote wise. And also hindi natatapos sa May 2022 election ang laban ng kabataan. Lagi po nating tatanda, we're not into blind loyalty. We respect whoever wants to be the president, but you should not make samba of them. I mean, if they do something wrong, you have to call them out because, good servant leadership lessons. Lagi po natin yan tatandaan.
That's right.
Ang ganda.
Galing.
Right, galing.
Who's next?
Who's next? Si Sainthia,
Sir
sige.
Nato, ako naman.
Sige.
So yung parati kong sinasabi sa mga kabataan dito sa probinsya ng Iloilo, if we want to change the system, we should be in the system and it should start within ourselves. Yung tinatanong ko sa kanila prior to at the end of the filing of the candidacy and also the registration, register ka na ba? Yun yung question. Kasi it should start within yourself eh. Nakapag-register ka na ba? Sinabihan mo ba yung kasama mo, yung mga kasama mo sa bahay na mag-register na? Kasi dun magsisimula ang change na hinahanap natin by registering ourselves and also voting for the right leaders this coming 2022 elections. So sa mga kabataan naman na gustong magserbisyo, hindi natin kailangan ng posisyon to serve others. Whether we are in our youth organizations in the local, whether we have our own youth initiatives, that is the start of the change that we want to see in the system. Kaya nga nag-file ako ng candidacy ko kahit wala tayong resources, kahit maliit na bayan lang ito, ang New Lucena sa probinsya ng Iloilo, we took the courage to file our certificate of candidacy noong 2019 kasi nakikita natin that may pag-asa ang bayan. May passion tayo sa pagserbisyo and kaya natin baguhin ang sistema kahit sa legislation aspect. So, the question that I want to give to all the young people out there is what more can we do to serve the people around us? Thank you, Sir Napa.
Okay. Thank you. Brian?
Brian.
Yeah, lastly naman, I will take a different track. Kasi na-mention na ni Fam the importance of the young people participating in the process of election. Si Councilor Sainthia naman is more on her involvement in the government. Ako naman more on the personal note. For young people who are still studying, you have to study hard. That's really my advice. You are a student first before we become student leaders. So we have to appreciate the importance of education being the greatest fiscalizer. Because at the end of the day, ang poverty, may solusyon dyan eh. Ang key is really education. Number two, yung advice ko siguro is do not limit yourself in the four walls of your classroom. You have a bigger society out there. There are issues in the country that we need your opinion, we need your comments, we need your stand on those issues. And lastly, number three, start small change. While it is a dream for everyone, the change in our country, but we can already become part of that change if we do it in our household level, in our family being the basic unit of our society, in our barangay, in our small community or immediate circle. So before we even aspire to work on the greater change in the future, we start first in our immediate vicinity, ourselves, our family, our household, our community. So these are the things that I can say to the young people. Kasi relate naman kaming tatlo eh. We are actually young pa naman and hindi pa naman kami officially tito and tita. That's why we always want to support the young people because ka-generation namin. And ka-generation din natin yan, Sir Nato eh.
That's right.
So ang galing-galing ng mga bisita natin na to, tapos yung parang bumalik ako sa pagkabata, tapos isa lang ang masasabi ko, mabuhay ang mga kabataan.
All right. So, thank you so much, Fam Gopez, Councilor Sainthia Sorrilla, Councilor Bryan Cerebo. Ito ang favorite episode ko kasi we are with our fellow young people, no?
Yeah.
Yung youth is not age. It's a state of mind, no? Ibig sabihin, we started out as kami, siguro sila Edward and even sila Girly, as youth leaders, and ngayon we stand at the crossroads of history, and I think this is a high time that we work together, and siguro nagpapasalamat kami for leaders like you. So sana dumami pa kayo, sabi nga nung isang isang kaibigan natin diyan, kung mabasa kayo, dumami pa kayo. And that is our hope, no, for the motherland. So again, maraming salamat. Thank you for joining us. After this, we will have a photo op after we close the show. Stay on. Sige. Maraming salamat sa inyong tatlo. Bye, Edward.
Daghang salamat sa ilang tanan.
Alright. So, yan po ang ating episode for tonight, episode 7 ng Para sa Bayan. Bye.
Maraming salamat.